Damn.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Political Jargon Show with your host, Eddie Quintana. It's December 6th, 2017, and we've got a lot of news to get to today. As I said, I'm your host, Eddie Quintana, and we've got a fantastic show for you guys today. Welcome. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Boxing Day, all the other holidays, Kwanzaa, the list goes on and on. Hope you all have a fantastic holiday season. My name's Eddie Quintana. We've got a lot of news to get to. I just got off of class. I really wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys about some things because I try to stay away from politics for a while, especially this last month because of the holiday season, Christmas. My birthday is also coming up real soon. You got New Year's and Thanksgiving that I celebrate, a lot of different holidays that I celebrate, and so I try to, every now and then I'll try to go out of politics and come back in slowly, and so we've got a lot of news and I really wanted to get to it, and it's really been bothering me, and I'm in a political mood, so I wanted to do a show. I wanted to give my thoughts on a lot of different issues facing the world today. Let me just move that camera. There we go. All right. First thing, GOP. First legislative win under the Trump era after a year and 3 weeks or so. They passed their tax cut bill. That's fantastic. If you have 4 yachts in a multinational corporation. I don't, do you? Probably not. So, yeah, I wanted to give my thoughts on the tax bill because I got off of work on a Thursday, I believe, a couple weeks ago, I think last week. And I came home and I immediately turned on CNN. And so I turned on CNN because in the Senate, all 50 senators were there. They were going through the GOP tax plan, and they were adding amendments, debating it, you know, and I fell asleep before the final vote of the actual bill went up, but there were a few amendments that got either... so from what I watched, there were 2 Democratic senators, and then I believe Rubio went up in these little debates about specific amendments. So Bernie Sanders' amendment got shut down, which I wanted to talk about because when you think about it, I'm going to make a prediction, and Bernie and how I'm able to make that prediction is because of what the Republicans did to Bernie Sanders' GOP tax bill amendment that he wanted to add. So what we have is I'm trying to find it. I can't find an article on the Bernie Sanders tax bill. So the tax bill did go through. It passed 51-49. Mike Pence came in, I guess. No, Mike Pence didn't break the tie. It was 51-49. I believe they got 1 Democrat to side with them. I believe. I don't remember the Democrat. I'm going to find it real quick. I need to get better at what I want to talk about in the show. I'm sorry, guys. This is not how I wanted the show to go. But so basically so what I want to talk about is so I don't know how trustworthy heavy.com is for news, but it's exactly what I want to talk about. So I know that I saw it happen. I know I saw it happen. I know who voted with who, so I can fact check it myself. So let me go ahead and switch to this. There we go. Okay, so this is how every senator voted for the Republican tax bill. The Senate voted with 51 to 49 to pass the Republican tax overhaul bill. Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee was the only Republican to vote no. The House and the Senate will now need to reconcile the differences between their two tax plans. Below, how every senator voted on the bill and selected amendments. So final passage, Republicans 51 yes, 1 no. Democrats 0 yes, 48 no. So there's 52 Republicans and 48 Democrats. That equals 100. So they didn't get any Democrats. However, the Democrats did get a Republican. So congratulations to everybody in Tennessee who called Bob Corker. You guys calling his offices and calling him and tweeting him and Facebooking him made him switch. So good job to everyone in Tennessee. Also, here's the normal scumbags voted against it. Burr, NZ, Flake, Graham, Grassley, Hatch, Inhofe, McConnell, McCain, Portman, Rubio. Cruz is also up here. I guess Cruz didn't vote. Where is Cruz? It's in alphabetical order. Oh, no, it's not. I'm dumb. Cruz voted in favor of it. Rubio voted in favor of it. Mike Lee, there's Cruz. Tom Cotton, Bill Cassidy, all the normal scumbags voted in favor of it. Here are some of the amendments that went through. I'm not entirely sure about any of these. Oh, this was Amendment 1850 was Rubio's bill that he wanted to pass, and it was majority against it, I believe. The 529 Plans Amendment got through. No Arctic drilling, which is really nice. That is a really good amendment that did not get through. And then I don't know what the endowment tax exemption is. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. So here's how everyone voted for those amendments. So that's an overall gist of the passage of the bill. Now, what I want to talk about right now is a list of Democrats who voted against Bernie Sanders' tax amendment and why. So basically, here, I'll get back to this article in 2 seconds. I just want to explain this to everyone as best as I can. So Bernie Sanders was one of 2 or 3 or 4 senators that went up and proposed their amendments that they wanted to add into the bill. Bernie Sanders was the first one to go up. Each senator had 2 minutes of debate and time for response, and then it went to a vote. By the way, they talk about Obamacare being forced down your throat, even though it was proposed in the House in 2009 and passed in 2010. Meanwhile, this tax bill has been way less than that, and yet everybody's okay with it. And not only did Obamacare take longer, it had a longer time to debate, had more amendments passed by the opposition party, and didn't have scribbled notes by people who wanted to propose different amendments into the bill. So, real quick, so the lobbyists and lawyers who pay politicians to get what they want, because, we have legalized bribery with Citizens United and a few Supreme Court cases from the 1970s that legalized money as free speech. That doesn't make any sense because, you legalize money as speech and as words. The people with more money have louder voices, so it completely counteracts the entire point of why you wanted money as speech in the first place. And not only that, just on ethical reasons, you give money quid pro quo. You scratch your back, I scratch mine, or you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Corruption, bribery, exactly everything that is wrong with giving money to politicians from big corporations who have an interest in getting specific bills passed. Yeah, so those lawyers and lobbyists wrote on the bill themselves with pen on edits to amendments that they wanted to get passed before the 2 a.m. deadline to get it passed. So not only were there no debates on it, hardly, lawyers wrote all over the bill. A bill that Democrats didn't get until about 12 to 24 hours before the vote. But yet Obamacare was forced down your throats, even though, 800 amendments were edited and added to the bill within a year and like 8 months of debate. Go fuck yourself. You're not a serious person. So Bernie Sanders wanted to pass an amendment that basically said, okay, here's what we're going to do. This amendment is going to say that if this bill gets through, because Bernie Sanders said the bill was most likely going to get through, that this amendment will protect Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So what that means is that after the bill gets passed and it blows a 1.2, depending on what you look at, $1.4 trillion on the $1.4 trillion on the deficit, meaning the deficit is going to explode. Republicans can't come back later and say, to cut the deficit, we need to cut spending, so we're going to take out of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. That was the amendment Bernie Sanders had wanted to pass onto the GOP tax bill. That didn't happen because not only did every Republican senator go against it, they decided that that they didn't want to put an amendment in and vote on their word that Republicans weren't going to cut the spending. And so I am now trying to find a video of Bernie Sanders' speech that he gave on the Senate floor on why he wanted his bill to get passed.
Will not tell the American people how they are going to be paying for the $1.4 trillion increase in deficits that this bill creates.
This isn't the right video.
Saved up for retirement, they're going to propose massive cuts to Social Security. Now, we don't know exactly the form that it will take. Maybe they'll want to raise the retirement age, forcing older workers to work more before they can get their Social Security benefits. Maybe they will cut back on cost of living increases through a so-called chained CPI, which means lower benefits. They're going to go after Medicare. Maybe their idea will be to privatize Medicare, convert it into a voucher program, and say to older Americans, here's a check for $8,000. You go out and find the private insurance that you can, and good luck to you if you're dealing with heart disease or cancer with your $8,000 check. And they will no doubt come back to slash Medicaid. Now, these are not just wild ideas that I have been thinking about. This is pretty much what was in the budget the Republicans voted for right here on the floor of the Senate. They have already voted for a $1 trillion cut over a 10-year period to Medicaid. And that means massive reductions in help, not only for lower-income Americans, not only for children, but for people in nursing homes. They have already voted in the budget over a 10-year period to cut Medicare by $470 billion. And in the House, they are working hard to figure out ways to cut Social Security. And the Republicans will also make massive cuts to education, to nutrition, to environmental protection.
So Bernie Sanders just went off, which rightfully so. So I just want to, real quickly, we spent a lot of time on this, but I just want to say, one, Republicans voted against an amendment that will protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, meaning that it's an accurate prediction to say that those scumbags will come back moments later when the deficit explodes under their watch, by the way. You can't blame Clinton. You can't blame Obama because he's not there. They didn't pass this tax plan while he was president. It's all Trump's fault if the deficit blows up, which, by the way, Republicans were always like, the deficit, the debt, whoa! Even though Obama cut the deficit from a $1.2 trillion deficit that Bush left him and cut it down to about half of it, $600 billion. So he cut deficit spending, meaning that there was less money from the deficit, which is the annual spending the government spends, going to the debt. So you don't care about fiscal responsibility. I don't want to hear another goddamn Republican tell me the fiscal responsibility, the tax and spend liberals, because it's all bullshit. It's all a talking point. It doesn't matter to you. It doesn't actually matter to you. You're not principled. Yeah, the debt was a huge problem under Obama, but that doesn't mean that Trump can just spend $1.4 trillion for the deficit. That doesn't make sense. Just because your guy blows a hole in the deficit doesn't make it okay. It's not who's spending the money on the deficit, it's that they're spending money on the deficit that you so adamantly care about. So it's all bullshit. It's all a talking point. Don't believe them when they say it. They don't actually mean it. They're not principled. They don't have ideas. They're not ideally based. They don't care. They're just playing for a team. And right now, Team Republican has all three major branches of government, plus the Supreme Court, and plus a majority of governorships. The last time this happened was 1928. Does anybody remember what happened in 1929? Anybody at all? So it's an accurate prediction to say that Republicans will later come back and cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for people who are close to, I think the age is under 55. If you're under 55, you have to what they're going to do is they're either going to reform it by increasing the age until you can get Social Security, or that's the prediction I'm going to go with. There are a few other ideas that people are saying, but I don't think that they'll do those. I think they'll just increase the retirement age for Social Security, which is, shit. So that's not a good idea. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, because they didn't vote for this amendment because they are planning to cut Social Security and Medicaid. And then some douchebag Republican came up and tried to argue against Bernie Sanders that he wouldn't. And that was the video I was trying to find, was a Republican comes up and says, oh, we won't do it, but he won't actually say we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. He uses different wording, he dances around the subject, and then he votes against the bill. So that's not a good thing. Okay, so there was that. So let's talk about this whole GOP tax scam, because that's really what it is. That's I'm not an economist. There's just one thing I really want to talk about. So So about a week ago, a little bit before that, it was reported that who owns TransCanada? That's it. Okay, so CNN was reporting this, but I saw this on Vox, and I saw this on Washington Post and a bunch of other things. Shut up, CNN. So a total of 210,000 gallons of oil leaked Thursday from the Keystone Pipeline in South Dakota, the pipeline's operator, TransCanada, said. Crews shut down the pipeline Thursday morning, and officials are investigating the cause of the leak, which occurred about 3 miles southeast of the town of Amherst, said Brian Walsh, a spokesman for the state's Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Okay, so you're thinking to yourself, all right, what's so special about that? One, that's what every liberal I follow on Twitter said would happen, and why we shouldn't do the Keystone XL pipeline in DAPL. But nobody listened to us. They all made fun of us, and they said, crazy libs, tree-hugging libtards. And guess what happened? Hundreds of thousands of gallons of gas leaked, and now environments are ruined, animals are no longer able to live in their habitat. But for the cherry on top, so TransCanada, this is coming from IB Times. I don't know what that means. Again, I'm pulling up weird sources because these are the only articles I could come from. So the controversial this is from ibtimes.com. The controversial Keystone Pipeline spilled more than 200,000 gallons of oil in South Dakota last month, prompting new pressure to slow pipeline development in the United States. Only weeks later, Republican lawmakers slipped a provision into a massive tax bill that could instead give the pipeline operator, TransCanada, a huge new tax cut. The company is one of a handful of energy giants that set up master limited partnerships, MPLs, financial vehicles often used to shield energy investments from taxes. The investors in those vehicles, who are often the parent company or its subsidiaries, could receive a huge boost thanks to an 11th hour amendment added to the GOP tax bill by Texas Senator John Corbin. MPLs themselves are already exempt from corporate taxes, but Corbin's last-minute provision could cut income taxes on the money earned by the MPL partners. The tax changes stand to enrich fossil fuel behemoths and their partners, many of whom recently delivered big campaign donations to Donald Trump and to groups backing Republican Party lawmakers. So the company that's in a capitalistic society, a company sets up business to sell and produce natural gases and sell it in the market. Not only do they fuck up their job and spill oil everywhere, nobody's gotten fired, and they just saw their profits increase. Now, you may be asking, why are their profits increasing? They just got their taxes cut, which is good because then they'll bring businesses or something. No, in a capitalistic society, if you cut taxes for mega rich billionaire corporations like TransCanada, they won't reinvest it into their business because they will see their profits increase, because that's less money that they have to give to the government. So that's less money that they give that they just keep. So their profits will go up, meaning that in a capitalistic society, you start a business to make a profit. So when you see when your profits go up, that's good. You're not going to do anything with that money because you want to make a profit. Why would they take that money and reinvest it into their company by increasing the wages that they give to everybody by 25 cents? Why would they do that? Why would they hire on people or open up a new business? That's them spending money. If they're already making a profit, they're not going to do that. It's incredibly naive to think that somebody would do that. But not only did they not do their job well, they didn't do it correctly, and they saw their profits increase. So we can have a debate on the tax bill and how economics should be run on a macro level in the United States. That's all well and good. I believe that taxes should be raised on the mega rich, the ultra 1%, the estate tax, the international corporations. Shut down what the Panama Papers revealed and other things like that. Shut those down. Bring that money back. And if they want to outsource jobs, put a tariff on their goods. So if anything that they create outside of America using jobs that were not done by Americans, they have to pay a penalty, and it would be incentivize them fiscally. It would save them money to just do the jobs here and just pay a minimum wage, do some benefits. It would be, if you slap a percentage of a tariff on imported goods from companies that are stationed here and they outsource jobs, it would be, find a number that would make it cheaper for them to actually produce the product in America. I think that's the best way to explain that. I was all over the place with that, but that's what I would do. I think that's what makes sense. We can have a debate on macroeconomics any time of the day, but this bullshit is what it is. Bullshit. You don't get promoted for doing your job well. If I'm at a fast food company and I take orders and if someone orders a burger and I give them chicken tenders, I don't get a promotion. I don't get a raise because I didn't do my job well. If your job is to transport oil from one place to another without oil spilling, and you spill 210,000 gallons of gas, you don't get a tax cut, and that's just not how that works. You don't get a raise. That's bullshit. They didn't do their job well, but it's okay. It's okay. We got taxes lowered. Congratulations. Woo, let's party. No, that's not how that works, because this is the second company that I've seen. The second company that I've seen that did their job like shit and got a tax cut from the GOP tax cut bill. It's incredible bullshit. It's like unbelievable bullshit. Because it baffles me that in this capitalistic society, people who don't do their jobs well can get taxes cut for them and see their profits increase. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? Like, that's bullshit, right? Or am I just a libtard who's crazy and wants the government to do everything for me? Like, is that what it is? I don't know. Like, maybe I don't know. I don't think people are getting up in arms about this as much as they should be, because, you know, fast food places give people food poisoning. They shut down for 2 months. They don't get their taxes cut. They fire some people. You spill $200,000 of gas, ruining natural environments and poisoning water streams, you get a tax cut for some fucking reason. Just because you're a businessman, that's not a good enough reason. You're a shit businessman if you can't do your job well. So let's go ahead and continue. So the House may have passed a version of the bill and the Senate may have passed a version of the bill, but they still have to go to joint conferences and get one bill instead of having the House bill and the Senate bill, because right now that's what they have. So they're going to bring them together and create one big massive bill. And so apparently the Hill that I'm looking at right now, what I think is going to happen is, okay, yeah, sure, the House and the Senate got a version of the tax bill done, and that's considered a win by the Trump administration. The first major legislative win by the Trump administration in almost in the entire time he's been in office, a year. But I think that the Freedom Caucus, the Tea Partiers in the House, are not going to find a way. They're not going to compromise with the establishment, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, Republicans in the House or in the Senate. I think that, so we're about halfway there from the bill becoming a law. Right now, it's in conference hearings. So if you're a liberal, if you're a progressive, if you're even a Democrat and you don't like this tax bill, keep calling your senators, call your representatives, tell them that you'll roll it out in 2018. Because we're only halfway there. This isn't a win for them yet, 100%. We still have a chance to fight back. So, I predict that the Tea Partiers in the House are going to be too unrealistic and they won't be able to come to a compromise for a very long time. Now, that's just using the information from a Hill article I just read. The Hill was reporting on how the leaders of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, I'm quoting directly from the Hill right now, quote, leaders of the conservative House Freedom Caucus who threatened to derail a procedural tax vote on Monday night to gain more leverage in the spending talks have been pushing for an initial CR that lasts through December 30th, warning that lawmakers would face far greater pressure to accept a bad spending deal right before Christmas. So the establishment Republicans and the Democrats are trying to get together to come up with some kind of compromise because they're in conference hearings, which means that it's both parties hashing out about the bill. So what the Freedom Caucus is wanting to do is wanting to use a CR, a 2-week continuing resolution. That's what CR is, continuing resolution, to keep the government funded till December 30th because they think that the establishment Republicans could get more cuts if they push it longer. So, again, it's just like healthcare. The Freedom Caucus, the Tea Partiers, are going to be incredibly hard-headed, and they're going to be the reason that either the tax bill changes incredibly from what it is, or just doesn't get passed and something else happens. So that's my prediction about this tax bill, and I just wanted to talk about the tax bill because it's incredible bullshit when you look into it again. $1.4 trillion, blowing a hole in the deficit. Meanwhile, you look at any Republican throughout the last 8 years, all of Obama's 2 terms, you could find every major Republican at one point or another talking about how Obama doesn't know how to spend and the deficit is out of control and the debt's out of control. But again, Trump gets into office and they don't give a shit for some reason. So let's go ahead and take a break, move on from the tax bill. Let's talk about Mueller. Let's talk about some good news. Robert Mueller. Ba-ba-da-da, here he comes. Robert Mueller. This is coming from Mother Jones. Quote, now it's getting personal. Ooh, fantastic way to start off your article. On Tuesday, a German newspaper reported that Robert Mueller, the special counsel investigating the Trump-Russia scandal, has issued a subpoena to fuck, how do you say this bank? I always forget. Deutsche Bank, which Donald Trump owns hundreds of millions of dollars, making this financial behemoth Trump's largest creditor. This summer, Trump said he considered his family's personal finances a red line that Mueller should not cross. Ooh, interesting. But by targeting Deutsche Bank with a subpoena for more information about Trump's accounts, Mueller may well be crossing that line. More important, perhaps, he is digging into a massive Trump conflict of interest and one of the biggest questions regarding Trump's business empire. Why would this German bank lend him so much money when the U.S. banks wouldn't? Not only that, but like any shady deals that would have happened, because it's been reported that this bank, where's the name? This bank right here, has had problems in the past with money laundering with Russian oligarchs. So there is good reason why Mueller is investigating these things. And so basically, I just wanted to let everybody know, because I don't know exactly if everybody knows about the news, but yeah, this is starting to get serious. And I've always said this, that if you were going to get Trump on something Russia related, it wasn't going to be that Putin used the Kremlin to hack into voting machines and change votes legitly, and that's how they hacked the elections. It was never going to be that. There was no way in hell it was going to be that. However, you always can look into Trump's finances, because he's been known to do shady dealings. And so if there's something that would, compromise the United States in any way, shape, or form, or anything illegal just in general, Mueller has a right to look into it. And that will be the day when we can play this clip, which everyone knows.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Not yet. Not yet. I'm totally stealing that from Cenk Uygur from TYT. I understand. All credit goes to Cenk Uygur from TYT. I just love it when he does that. And I love that clip, because I'm literally going to play it when Trump gets, indicted, or impeachment hearings start happening, or something breaks, because I did a video on this channel called The Reasons Why Trump, or The Case to Not Impeach, because I think that on the simple fact that it took him a year and a few months, a few weeks to pass a tax bill, shows how politically incompetent Trump is, and how he cannot get... You can't claim obstruction when you have all 3 major branches of government. That's not how that works, okay? That's just not how that works. So it shows how politically incompetent he is. However, if you had Mike Pence as president, that tax bill would have happened 6 to 8 months ago. Everything would be 4 times faster, because he's an establishment politician. He knows how the grease is turned. He knows how to get bills passed. Not only that, but he's super for free trade, and he's super against LGBTQIA+. which Trump himself hasn't done anything necessarily, except for the transgender military ban for some reason. But other than that, he still kind of hasn't really messed with the LGBTQ community. He still believes that the Supreme Court ruled on gay marriage. There's nothing we can do. Let's move on, which is good. Pence, on the other hand, doesn't think like that. And he's super for free trade. Trump is starting to look like he's super for free trade, so basically the only two things I gave him credit for, he's slowly shooting himself in the foot, and I'm going to have to take those away at some point. He's renegotiating the TPP, and he's adding in amendments which will make free trade easier. That's what Trump is doing. That's what I've heard, at least, from news outlets. So, and let's just make it clear, I wasn't giving him props for being free trade. His rhetoric on free trade is correct. What he said on the campaign trail is correct. He outsources his own jobs to Mexico, to Thailand, to China. You can look at his ties. You can look at his things he makes. He says made in China, made in Mexico. So, of course he's lying. He's Trump. He's always lying. So, but his rhetoric on the campaign trail was good. While Clinton had to come out and tepidly go against the TPP because Bernie Sanders pushed her to the left on TPP, she still was kind of in favor of free trade. Bill Clinton passed NAFTA. Of course she's in favor of free trade. So Trump went out there and said, hey, free trade's bad, and his rhetoric was good. But those two things are slowly being taken away because he's shooting himself in the foot. I was giving him credit. Yeah, his rhetoric on the gays, his rhetoric on gay marriage and gay rights and transgender rights and free trade were good. But his presidency has been the opposite of what he said. I mean, he's an establishment. He is the swamp now. So, I mean, his entire promise to drain the swamp and make America great again has completely shat the bed because it's just not true. So, let's go back to Mueller. This is good news for anybody who knows that Trump has done some shady things while he was president, or even on the campaign trail wanting to be president, or even president-elect. And so this is where you're going to find Trump's supposed Russia scandal. But you want to talk about collusion? This story broke yesterday. This story broke yesterday, and I heard some of it. And I don't really know what to make of it, per se, but I know that it's bad. So let me just go ahead and read you the article from The Intercept here, and you can make up your own decision. I think it's possible, the way that the article lays it out, as, yeah, this is bad, and this shouldn't have happened, but how about we take it for yourself? Okay, so the article, written by The Intercept, starts out, did the Trump campaign collude with Vladimir Putin to win the 2016 election? Maybe. We await special counsel Robert Mueller's next move to learn about that. But in the meantime, why aren't more members of Congress or the media discussing the Trump transition scheme pretty brazen collusion with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to undermine both U.S. government policy and international law? Shouldn't that be treated as a major scandal? Probably. Thanks to Mueller's ongoing investigation, we now know that prior to President Trump's inauguration, members of his inner circle went to bat on behalf of Israel, and specifically on behalf of illegal Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories, behind the scenes and in opposition to official U.S. foreign policy. That's the kind of collusion with a foreign state that has gotten a lot of attention with respect to the Kremlin, but colluding with Israel seems to be far less interest, strangely. Here's what we learned last week when Mueller's team unveiled its plea deal with Trump's former National Security Advisor, retired General Michael Flynn. Here we go. In December 2016, the United Nations Security Council was drafting a draft resolution that condemned Israeli settlements expansion in the occupied territories as a flagrant violation under international law that was dangerously imperiling the viability of an independent Palestinian state. The Obama administration had made it clear that the U.S. was planning to abstain on the resolution, while noting that the settlements have no legal validity and observing how the settlement problem has gotten so much worse than it is now, putting at risk the two-state solution. Okay. Rhetorically, at least, U.S. opposition to Israeli settlements has been long-standing and bipartisan position for decades. Ronald Reagan called for a real settlement freeze in 1982, while George H.W. Bush tried to curb Israeli settlement building plans by briefly cutting off U.S. loan guarantees to the Jewish state in 1991. Okay, so for years, people have said that this is illegal, and the UN has said it's illegal and it's a problem for international law. It's a violation of international law. And even the United States, while choosing to not vote on the resolution, has in the past said that what Israel is doing is wrong, Republicans and Democrats alike. So what did members of the... I'm continuing here from The Intercept. So what did members of the Trump team do as they listened to loud objections to the UN resolution from the Netanyahu government while counting down the days till Trump's inauguration in January 2017? On or about December 22nd, 2016, a very special member of the presidential transition team directed Flynn to contact officials from foreign governments, including Russia, to learn where each government stood on the resolution and to influence the governments to delay the vote or defeat the resolution. Reads the statement of offense against Flynn, who pled guilty to lying to the FBI about his conversations with the Russian ambassador to the U.S. to the U.S. FBI. Yeah. On or about December 22nd, 2016, Flynn contacted the Russian ambassador about the pending vote. Flynn informed the Russian ambassador about the incoming administration's opposition to the resolution and requested that Russia vote against or delay the resolution. Now, Russia voted in favor of the resolution, so it obviously didn't matter, but that's still not okay. I don't know if it's illegal per se, but it's definitely not okay considering that they haven't been sworn in yet, and Trump is only still president-elect at the time. So who was the very senior member of the transition team who directed Flynn to do all this? Multiple news outlets have confirmed that it was Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and main point man on the Middle East peace process. Jared called Flynn and told him, "You need to get on the phone to every member of the Security Council and tell them to delay the vote," a Trump transition official revealed to BuzzFeed News on the Friday, adding that Kushner told Flynn this was a top priority for the president-elect. The president on December 22nd, 2016 was still Barack Obama. According to BuzzFeed, after hanging up, Flynn told the entire room at Trump's transition team headquarters that they have to start pushing to lobby against the UN vote, saying the president wants this done ASAP. Again, president-elect. President Barack Obama is still in charge. You don't get to do that. Flynn's guilty plea, BuzzFeed continues, revealed for the first time how Trump transition officials solicited Russia's help to defeat off the UN vote and undermine the Obama administration's policy on Middle East peace before ever setting foot in the White House. None of this has been contested. In fact, on Sunday, Kushner made a rare public appearance at the Saban Forum in Washington, D.C. to discuss the Trump administration's plan for the Middle East and was welcomed by the forum's sponsor, this Israeli-American billionaire, Haim Saban, who said he personally wanted to thank Kushner for taking steps to try and get the UN Security Council to not go along with what ended up being an abstention by the U.S. Kushner's response? The first son-in-law smiled, nodded, and mouthed thank you to Saban. Meanwhile, the Israelis have been pretty forthcoming about their own role in all this too. On Monday, Ron Dremer, Israel's ambassador to the U.S. and close friend and ally of Netanyahu, told Politico's Susan Glasser that in December 2016, obviously we reached out to the Trump transition team and hoped that they would help us out, and we were hopeful that they would speak to other governments in order to prevent this vote from happening. Got that? The Trump transition team, in the form of key Trump advisors Kushner and Flynn, reached out to the Russian government in order to undermine the U.S. government because the Israeli government asked them to. So, to put that in idiot terms, because that's what I am, Kushner gets a call from Israel, a few key members of the Israeli government, saying, hey, listen, we want you to discuss with other governments to push back or vote against this UN vote coming up that will declare our illegal settlements illegal. Kushner then puts down the phone and has, this is the most amazing plot twist of the whole story, and decides that I can't do that. I'm not, the president-elect Donald J. Trump isn't president yet. He's not inaugurated yet. I'm not the government. I'm not the face of the government. I'm not in government yet. He hasn't been inaugurated. We are not under the Trump administration. We are still under the Obama administration. So he decides to call the Israeli prime minister back, or call Israeli lawyers and lobbyists back, or whatever, or ministers, or whatever the hell, and say, we can't do that. I apologize. Just know that we are wanting to go against this, but I will not be making calls to you. And that was the end of the story. Congratulations. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. Kushner then decides to pick up the phone and call Flynn, who was at the time the national security advisor for the Trump team. So he was slated to be in government. He hadn't quit yet. He was in the transition team. And then Flynn calls other governments, Russia included, on behalf of the Israeli government. That's collusion. That is actual collusion. But this won't be on CNN. This won't be on MSNBC. They'll just talk about how Flynn got guilty, which he should be, by the way. They'll just talk about that, but they won't go into why or some of the things that he got guilty of. But there's actual collusion. You want to talk about collusion all the time, CNN, and then real collusion comes up and slaps you in the face with its big meaty dick, and you say no. And it's just amazing. It's amazing. That's actual collusion. That's the real story. There's collusion there. That's not allowed. You can't do that. Oh my God, you can't do that. You're not the government. You are not the government. The U.S. foreign policy for your team starts this January 20th, 2017 at exactly noon when you get inaugurated. That's not how that works. You don't... There are rules, there are laws, there are precedents set up. You're not president yet. You have no authority to do this. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing. Oh my God. That's the real story. But yet no one wants to cover it. You know, because Israel is always right. I forgot. So, that'll do it for me. For the December 6th, 2017 edition of the Political Jargon Show. I don't know the next time I'll do a show like this. I do want to do, in January, I do want to pick up and do a little bit more. I do want to do one on January 20th, though. Or sometime before, sometime after. I'm not entirely sure when. About Trump 1 year later. I always like doing those anniversary kind of things. So, what day does January 20th fall on? It is a Saturday. I'll maybe do one like the 19th then. So yeah, that'll do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy birthday to me, and Happy Boxing Day, Kwanzaa, New Year's Eve, whatever other holiday you spend. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I think that was a pretty good one. I think that there were some things in there that, yeah, we can have a discussion about some of those, but some of the specific points that I made are quite irrefutable. And if you try to, you're just a partisan hack and you're not a serious person, and I don't take you as a serious person because you're not. And so, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was fun. I love talking about politics, especially when the people are making it really easy for me to point out hypocrisy and point why they're wrong on doing such things. So, yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed. Hope you guys have a great holiday season. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Have a great day or night or wherever you are. See you guys later.